I heard Joseph say we are here. So they're already with us.
Wow. Good afternoon, Kelly.
Good afternoon, good morning, Glenda.
Yeah, good morning to you in the States. And yes,
Yes, it's a beautiful morning here. Sun's coming up. It's going to be gorgeous today.
uh, well, I'm in advance of you here. So, and I know we're all in the now. Sun shining. It's already sun shining. that's that's great to look at it, isn't it? Because right here, right now, the sun is shining.
It's always shining. That is a great place to start because it's always shining. Even behind the rain, the sun never ceases to shine. You can have the experience that the sun isn't shining by the rain clouds covering it up. However, the sun is always shining. And that's one way to look through difficult situations, whereas this will pass, just as the clouds will clear up. The sun's always, always being offered to you.
Wow. And just taking in that, when we breathe, and in this moment, it's really feels good, doesn't it?
Yes, it's a good moment. This is a good day, and I'm really excited to have these conversations continue. So, do we want to start with fear, or do you have another topic you want to begin with?
Um, yeah, let's talk about fear. And it's strange because let's talk about fear, and I have no fear right now. Um,
Good time to talk about it.
yeah, so something may come up. Um, what is fear?
Fear is the opposite polarity of love. And so you have no fear right now. So you're experiencing the opposite side of the spectrum of it. Fear just means that you have some resistance to what's going on in the life at the moment. Your body actually, there's a mechanical, or I shouldn't say mechanical, but it's a signal when something is unfamiliar or something is, something you've never experienced before comes up, and the mechanism in the body to protect itself sends out fear. It's a fight flight mechanism. It's very, very um, imprinted into the body. It's a survival mechanism. But to overcome fear is to learn how fear is influencing you and to recognize when you're in it. And what do I do once I recognize that I'm in fear about a certain thing, stage fright, whether it's fear of a new job, whether it's fear of change, uh, all of those experiences that we go through and find ourselves in are just the body saying, you don't know what this is, you can't trust this, this is something new, be terrified, to try to protect itself. So the body's always wanting to be balanced. And so when something new comes around, it kind of signals that little bit of fear inside of you. And so the idea is to, when you're in it, is to find the tools to actually calm that mechanism, calm that signal that's being sent in the body to react, and to stop the chemicals from going out into the cells that trigger all kinds of thoughts behind it. Is on the beginning stages, when you find yourself just a little bit nervous, is the best time to do those breathing techniques where you just calm the mind and kind of give yourself a little talk, and we're fine. Nothing's going to happen to us. We're not going to be eaten by the animal, because that's the primordial origins from this, is to keep us alive. And so if you can understand where it's coming from, then you'll better have better control when you find yourself in it. And again, starting with what we just talked about with the sun, a good example is the sun is always shining. Even if there's a terrible storm, the sun is always shining, and this will pass. And just to breathe yourself out of any kind of dissonance created within the body. And you can actually trigger the chemical reactions that will calm the body. And then you can easily go about the business of change.
Wow. So,
So when you breathe deeply and you exhale, you calm yourself down saying that I'm safe. I know I'm here. We're just going to go through a brand new experience. It's going to be exciting, and I'm going to allow this experience to happen. All of that sends the signals then to the cells to stop reacting in panic, and then you can go through the experience without that terror.
I see. What about when someone, um, it's like a panic attack? Um, is that the same?
Yes, it's that same mechanism. And a lot of the times it's habitual thoughts around the subject that make it chronic. And so it's a little bit more intense. However, even the most severe panic attack, you can breathe your way out of using those same techniques. If you have an awareness of what's going on in the body that's triggering it, um, you can learn to find some tools that you can get yourself out of it as well. You can train yourself to drink water. As I'm drinking this water, everything is calming down. Talk to your cells in your body. Calm them down. Get them out of the state of panic and literally just breathe. Find something else to focus on. That's why focusing on the breath is a great tool because it allows you to let go of those panicked thoughts. Because a lot of people will react to the thoughts, oh, here I go again, I'm in public, I've got to calm this down, and they try to control the fear. When you're focusing on the fear that's happening, then you're actually amping that energy up by the focusing upon it. So if you can let go for a little bit and try to just focus on the breath, or just even looking at a picture, something that's going to distract you from those thoughts that are going on. And literally, you can get yourself out of that state of panic.
Okay. Because I know like a lot of us feel fear in so many, so many, so many ways. And
Yes,
um, it can come up, s- severe was what the word that came up there, severely. Um, and and I think not understanding what's going on, that's why you need to understand and manage is the right word, your emotions.
yes. And the idea is to keep a focus on where you're feeling right now, because when there's something new that comes up, it's natural to be a little bit of nervousness about it, a little bit of anxiety, even if you want to call it that. It's just something new. And if you can look at it as an adventure, we're going to have a new adventure today rather than, oh, I'm doing this new thing and I'm terrified of it. Just that little switch of perspective will help you get through it. And ultimately, the more and more you realize that nothing horrible can happen from this because I'm in control of this, um, is how easily you start navigating through life. A lot of people have fears. Now, the fears of that you don't even realize there are fears going on are the more tricky ones. The more obvious
Oh,
fears are easier to handle because they're having a reaction in your body. However, leaving your job to start a new job might be too terrifying for you to give yourself permission to leave the job that you're not enjoying to take on a job that will be more exciting to you because you fear that you won't have enough or you won't be able to provide for your family to make that leap to do something for yourself. So there are fears in place that keep you from experiencing what you want to experience. And those are more of what we're wanting to talk about. We can talk about the others because all of them are related. All of those have the same triggers. To what level they are and how it's impacting you or keeping you from having a happy, joyful experience are the ones to take a look at and recognize that there are fears that are stopping you. because the fears do develop into beliefs, and the habitual thoughts around them is something that you start learning to trust in. So you can actually develop new beliefs around because of the fear. Um, I believe that I won't have enough money if I do this. I believe that if I follow what I love to do, I won't be providing for my family or for myself. I believe I won't be able to live.
Okay, so for example, usually, if I can get this right, you have a feeling or a thought that you'd like something to change. An emotion usually behind that will come up, isn't it? Or a belief
Yes,
about
yes,
that.
it must, because that's what's dictating what shows up. Yes.
And by discerning how you feel about that subject, for example, um, can be the start of discerning how you feel about it, what are your beliefs about it, and by breathing into that, something will come up to soothe. Or I think that's another thing. It's about soothing that emotion, that belief.
Yes, it's trying to get yourself back into that centered spot where you're in alignment with the self, and as much as you can, and recognizing that you are in fear about this, and giving your, letting yourself off the hook. So what, that I'm having fear right now, I know how to find my way out of it as well. I found my way into it, I can find my way out of it.
That's it.
And knowing how to calm the mind down so it's not getting in this fight flight mechanism, because the more you focus on it, the more you're adding energy to that belief about it. And so if you can literally just start thinking about something else that can get you into that calm state of mind, then you can start looking at, if you need to take a look at why that created, if it keeps on repeating itself and it gets to the point where it's there, you want to change it. Then you can take a look at, why am I in fear? What is this about the situation that I'm worried about? What is it that's making me have this reaction? And when you do, and then you can put it into a broader perspective. Well, this fear doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, because I've done new things before and it's not so terrible. Always when I get through this new thing, I feel good on the other side. And so teaching yourself to be calm and teaching yourself to know that, I'm not going to die, will sub, it will lessen and soothe that fear that you have about it. And yes, the new beliefs, you'll be able to see them then. If you're reacting to the fear and just staying in that state, well, then you're going to have a more difficult time identifying the belief that caused that trigger in the first place.
And that's where the friction will come in.
That is fiction.
That is friction. That is friction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, why won't I allow myself to do what I love doing? What is it about this that I don't believe is possible for me? Because generally that's the case. Is the reason why you would have some fear about it is you don't believe you're going to be supported with it. You don't believe you'll be able to survive very well doing that thing that you want to do. And so you feel like something's going to go wrong. It's generally what causes a hesitation, which is fear. Hesitation to do something is a fear of doing it. So why are you hesitating? What fear is coming up? Because just like love, fear has the same levels of severity. Habitually thinking about it usually amps it up, but um,
So I
kind of noticing what's going on and not reacting to the fear once it shows itself. Realize that's, we're a duality being. We have a light side and we have a shadow side. And so that would be more on the shadow side of the self. But you have to honor the shadow side. You have to honor where you are right now. And when you let yourself off the hook, say it's okay to feel this. I don't have to control this away. Because anytime you try to control it, it just amps up the energy to it. And so you start experiencing it more and more and more. And that's why those thoughts keep on coming in your head. And then you find yourself that you can't quiet the mind. And then it's all I'm doing is thinking and worrying about this problem. As you're focusing on the problem rather than letting yourself off the hook and being soothed about it, well, then you're just adding energy to the problem and not allowing yourself to find a solution. Because when a problem is created, the solution is always created at the same time. But you can't find the solution because you're so dwelling on the problem. And so as you can get your thoughts focused on just calm, going into my centered spot, going into being okay, feeling this fear. It's all right that this fear is coming from. This is primordial. This is how the body works. This is me protecting myself. So let's try to feel good during this. Let's breathe for a little bit. Let me let myself off the hook. Let me not judge myself for having this fear. Let me find out what the fear is all about. You know, what am I resisting here? And can I soften myself out of it?
Mm.
And literally, you can get to the other side of the polarity. Anytime there's a polarity, you can always get to the other side of it.
Wow.
So that's what a lot that try meditation, they find themselves that talk, you know, the self-talk starts coming up when they start trying to find that peaceful place. They hear all these thoughts. Well, I have to do the dishes. I have to do, you know, I have to cook dinner. You know, that keeps them from finding that quiet spot. Are all those things that they're worried about, you know, that they think that they're not going to get done on. And I can promise you, when you find that alignment to the self, your higher self will remind you. So you're not going to miss out on anything. Um, so it's not like I have to keep an eye on the clock because I'm going to miss a meeting. When you practice this enough, you will be reminded of the meeting without needing the clock because your higher self will let you know. Think about the meeting. It's time. And I have that happen all the time. It's so when you get into this and it becomes more practice, more habitual, you literally will let yourself be guided to the information that you need, the timing of things, when to act on stuff, when does it feel good to do something, when should I just let it pass for a moment, and when I feel good about it, I'll do it. Kind of get into the rhythm of what feels good to do right now, because the day will start shifting around to where you will get to everything that you need to get to if you follow the path of what feels good and what's the most exciting at the moment. They have a way of working out perfectly. And some may need to start practicing that a little bit to see that it does work that way on little lesser important things so they don't panic over it, because we don't want you to get into panic over beginning a new process. But do little experiences here and there, and see that it does work that way for you. And it becomes very exciting because you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm going to forget about this, because you'll know and start trusting that you'll get reminders. So it becomes quite fun.
Yeah. Wow. I was just thinking then, though, it is about realizing that you can change those beliefs if they don't serve any purpose, and the fear, and there's other elements of emotions that can come up, and like that onion that we're always peeling, take your time, don't worry, don't be in haste, that things will be always working out for you, that things do get better, the headache will pass.
Yes,
You can just believe that.
because the headache is just a sensitivity to energy of something's out of alignment, and that your body is giving you a red flag, something's out of balance. And so to stop judging it as, oh, I've got this terrible pain that I have to control, when you recognize that it's just a sensitivity to something and your body is telling you something is out of balance, then you'll know, oh, I'll just breathe, balance myself back up, and the headache will pass. beliefs are very much the same way. And the idea is to, and what you're talking about right there is beliefs.
Yeah.
And beliefs do have many layers to them. And it's only because very rarely is a belief just one belief you have that's not connected to other things. Very much the beliefs that we've created are always tied into other beliefs. So one will, it's kind of like veins. You know, you have your one main vein, but then there's those little spider veins around it that are connected to it, but the blood flows as well. And the beliefs are connected to other beliefs. So as you uncover one belief, sometimes you'll find later on, which seems like an onion because there's layers to it. It's just that you're finding the other beliefs that are connected to that one belief that keeps it alive, even after you thought you've dealt with it. How many times have you ended a relationship and then years later you still have a reaction to it and you're like, oh, I thought I dealt with that? Well, it's only because there are other beliefs that are attached to that, other resistances that you didn't even realize were still there until something caused them to come up. And so then you just deal with those as they come up. You don't worry about handling the whole thing all at one time because that can get overwhelming. And the idea is to, as these come up, is to be very, very kind to yourself and allow them to um, work themselves out, or take a look at them now with what you believe now, with what I know now. How can I make that belief true? Because a belief is just something that you trust in habitually. That's all.
Mm.
And to be able to get to a new belief or build a new belief that will really let go of the old belief completely is you have to build a bridge to something new that you trust in more.
A bridge.
A bridge to the new belief. And it has to be strong enough to where you can leap on it and jump on it. It's made out of concrete. I know this is safe. I can easily get to the new belief, and I'm going to trust in this. And then you can let go of the old belief because it becomes nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense for me to have this fear about this subject because I know I'm not going to die. And only when you know that to be true can you let go of the fear about it.
So there has to be an alignment. Have to be in align with your inner self then to believe that.
Yes, that is alignment, but it's also, that would be what I call the work, as far as finding out what is it that I'm afraid of. You know, kind of looking at the belief itself and say, what is it that I'm believing in about this that makes this true for me, and why do I keep on buying into that belief? And how can I get to a new belief, and why would the new belief support me more? And see, the alignment's coming from the building of the new belief. So you can hardly find alignment with something if you have these beliefs that you trust in. The idea is to form the new trust in a new belief that can then make the old belief nonsensical, and you can find your alignment that I'm fully supported. You know, nothing bad is going to happen to me. Then you get back into alignment by letting go of the terrifying belief that you had. So the friction or the disalignment is coming from what you're trusting in. So the idea is to learning what you're trusting in and actually take a look at it and say, why is that? And does this make sense to me? Or can I learn something new about it and make that exploration? And when you learn about a subject enough, then you'll say you go to the doctor. The doctor's coming up right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a fear of going to the doctor because they're afraid of what the doctor is going to say to them. And they think that something terrible might be wrong. And they go to the doctor, and the doctor does some tests, and they say, don't worry, everything is fine. And then that relief that you feel, you're like, oh, good, you know, everything is okay. This is very much like that. In other words, you have to get yourself diagnosed by yourself to say everything is okay. So you have to be the doctor in this role, giving yourself permission to know that there's nothing wrong. So you're kind of diagnosing yourself in just an analogy,
Yeah.
a clear way of seeing the process of building new beliefs. And then you can ask yourself, well, why did that happen in the first place? Why did I go into fear? And still using that doctor analogy, and we're going to use health just as an example. Maybe you bought into the beliefs of the commercial that, if I eat fast food, then I'm going to be sick. And I eat fast food all the time because I love it. And you just love going to McDonald's, and so you eat a lot of that, and so you fear, because I've eaten that, I think something with my health is going to be wrong, because society says that if I eat this food, something bad's going to happen. Maybe that's why you feared the result of going to the doctor, because you didn't believe that you were taking care of yourself. Now, when
Wow.
you let yourself off the hook of knowing what's healthy for you, if you believe that the food is going to nourish you, if you love the food that you're inputting, and you don't believe that it's going to harm you, you won't get sick. However, if you buy into what society says, and we're so bombarded with the messages, it's real tricky to pull yourself out of society and believe something different, because we're constantly being told what to think, what to do, what to wear, what to own, what success is, who you are as a person. We're so bombarded with messages from the outside world telling us how we should be, how you should live, what you should wear, what you should look like.
And that
Oh,
creates friction within you because you're wanting to know who you are, but when you've got all these messages coming, not messages, these this information, you're not allowing yourself to even diagnose who you are, you know? Because if you like a red dress, yeah, and everybody's saying, oh, well, that's not really that nice, that red dress, but you like it, you should still wear your red dress as long as it makes you feel good.
yes, because it's your balance that counts. Literally, your opinion matters. Literally materializes your state of being, materializes. Do what you love to do. And the more you go into the journey of self love and honoring who you are and what you believe, the more easy that decision to, I'm going to wear the red dress whether anybody else likes it or not, because I love this. I love the way I feel in this dress. This is the thing for me to do. It doesn't matter what other people think. They're not wearing it. And if they don't like my red dress, they don't have to look at me. I don't really care what they believe. I care how I believe. And that's that self journey. That's honoring the self. That's loving the self. Loving yourself enough to say, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'm going to do this because I love it. And that's when you're in alignment. And that's when all the fears about what others are going to think about this can move out of your spectrum. The more you start moving into the state of love, you get out of the state of fear.
Yeah.
So you're switching the polarity. So
And that
that's how to turn fear off.
and
Don't,
that alignment with your inner self, your higher self, brings us to the unconditional love, about loving yourself, self-love.
yes. And the journey to self love is very important, because a lot of us don't do it. And unconditional love isn't just a fuzzy, warm feeling, it's a state of being, it's a vibration. It's the vibration of who you are eternally. That is, who you are eternally is nothing but unconditional love. When we come in here in this physical form, we learn very quickly from our parents and society that all of these reasons not to love ourselves. And so that forms the beliefs, and that starts taking shape on how we feel about it. But if you look at children, they're not worried about what other people think. They're in the business of playing and joy and fun and happiness. Be childlike, not childish, but be childlike, and not worry about what others think. Just play. Do your thing. That's what we're here for. The guys are often saying that life should be a fairy tale. That's what it's designed to be. You're supported by the universe. thoughts create things. And if you're thinking a thought, you're creating an energy. Your emotions vibrated into being. Your state of mind dictates what shows up for you. When you allow yourself self-love and know that everything's happening because you're supported by the universe and unconditionally loving you, that everything that you want, you're able to have, then you could have that life. But it's the, I can't have that because I don't have this, or I can't have that because society says I can't. And I believe that what I've been taught about how to get something is to work hard to achieve it. I believe that I should compete with others because I want to compare myself to them. And if I win, then I'm better than they are. All of those things keep you out of alignment to who you are, keep you out of a state of unconditional love for the self, because you're judging your life based on what you see around you and comparing yourself to it. And you're not loving yourself enough to just be and do what you want to do because of all kinds of fears that if I do that, I'm going to fail. If I do that, I won't have enough money. So all of those keep us out of alignment. So the deal is, as much as you can on a daily basis, know who you are, remember, learn to remember what you came in here to do and experience, who your soul is eternally, what experiences excite you and love you and are intriguing to you and passionate and inspire you. Those are what you want to focus on. And the other ones are just letting go of, learning how to navigate and let go of those that make you miserable. And as much as you can, making that switch and choosing to be happy. This time I'm going to honor who I am. I'm going to do what I love, no matter what anybody else thinks. Because when I'm in alignment, when I start loving myself, that's when my well-being will return. That's where things happen. That's where I'll get whatever I want. I will lead by example because people will look at me and say, how did you do that? And you say, I didn't do anything. I just let myself believe that I could have this, and I didn't put in the vibration that I can't. I didn't create the vibration. I didn't create friction that keeps me from having this. I believed that I could do this, and it shows up. And others can look upon you and say, you know, your life works out so wonderfully. How does that happen to you? And you don't have to do anything. You just are somebody that they can look upon and see as an example that it does work this way. And you can just say, I just learned to love myself. I just learned to stay in the vibration of myself. I didn't doubt myself. I let go of the fear about what I was doing. I just follow the excitement of what I want to do all the time. And the more people start doing that and start living that way, and they are becoming aware of that, but they still don't understand how the beliefs stand in the way of achieving it. And once they learn that pattern, then everything opens up.
And that's excuse me. Um, is that not to do with the separation of you and I, or they and them, and the universe and source and God? All that plays a big part in understanding who you are.
Yes, because life shows you as a reflection what your beliefs are. Everything that shows up is showing up because of where you're vibrating, and it's showing up as a reflection for you to look upon. And it's
Kelly,
not happening and then you have the reaction. Your thoughts are there and then things show up that matches your thoughts. So it's reflecting to you exactly what you believe right now. So everything, just look around your life. See what events are showing up on a day-to-day basis. Is this peaceful? Is this joyful? Is this exciting? Then you're doing a really good job of staying in your vibration. If a conflict works out, or you're struggling through life, or you're forcing yourself to do stuff, when you believe that you have to control everything, when you're in the details of other people's lives and your own life, then you know you're out of alignment a little bit. But the reality around you is just reflecting what it is that you believe. So when you can start recognizing what's going on around you and start saying, the reason why this keeps happening, or I'm stuck in this place and I feel like I'm stuck in, is only because this is what I believe is possible for me. I want to do some exploration to see what else is possible. The moment you let yourself make that little switch, those little changes to where I'm going to start taking care of myself, is the moment your reflection will change, because it literally is just a reflection of where you're vibrating.
Okay. Okay. Um, Remember when we were speaking yesterday and we were talking about your journey? Where are we on our journey?
Yes, yes.
And fear, and you were saying about fear and love, the opposite
It's the opposite polarity, yes.
polarity.
Just like a battery has a negative and a positive, love and fear are very much the same.
Where does hate come in then? Because
Hate generally is coming in as a judgment, and that is a comparison type of mindset where you don't approve of yourself, so you're needing to compare yourself to others. And when you hate something, for one, is all hate kind of truthfully is I don't like that for me. And if you can look at it that way, is I don't find that an enjoyable experience, you won't have the degree of hate. But when there's an emotion behind, if it gets really, I really hate this person, I really hate this job. When it gets so amped up, it's just the habitual thinkings about it that I really don't like this. But usually it gets to that point because that person keeps showing up, or that thing that you hate keeps showing up. Well, that's because you're focusing on it and giving it energy. So it stays in your spectrum. And when you can just relax about what it is that you hate and say, this is a judgment that I am comparing myself because I'm not loving myself. I don't accept myself for who I am. I feel the need to compare my life with others. Then, but that generally is what hate is. It's because there's a lack of love there. For one, you're not recognizing that the other person is is eternal as well, and is connected to you, and is serving to you. They're showing up to serve to you what it is that you believe about yourself. They're not showing up to punish you or to make you suffer by that thing that you hate. It's not showing up for that reason. It's showing up so you can let yourself off of the hook a little more by, why do I feel this strong emotion towards this thing? And usually there's a pain inside that you're not allowing yourself to do something. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter what somebody else is doing. It wouldn't matter about the job. When you're in alignment and you say, right now is a good moment, this is a good day, generally hate doesn't enter the spectrum because you're in that centered spot with who you are and you're good with the moment. There generally isn't hate in that, because you know that that's not you. It doesn't matter what that person does. It doesn't matter what is coming out of that person's mouth. And the job, you can say, well, right now I'm doing this, but something better is coming because I'm going to allow myself to experience more. Now, then, usually, like with hate, there's a lack of fairness. Fairness generally plays into hate. You know, that this person hasn't done a thing and they're a millionaire and luck just keeps on rolling into this person. I hate that person. I so hate that person because he doesn't deserve it. I work really hard and I don't get this thing. But this person just has things coming to them left and right and center, but I don't get it, so I hate them. I hate that that happens. I hate how unfair that is. How often have you heard that one?
yeah,
So, it is all that's going on there is you're comparing yourself with somebody else, for one. You bought into the belief that you have to work hard to get something, and you don't see him working hard, so automatically it becomes unfair to you. And if you knew that it's not the working hard and you get rewarded, that's the belief that you bought into from what your parents said and what society says. But if you realize that it doesn't work that way at all, that person just doesn't have resistance to what he's wanting. When you recognize that if I can just let go of what keeps me from feeling the resistance to this thing that I'm wanting, I'll probably no longer hate that or resent them or think that it's unfair. So that again is switching the belief about what causes you to hate.
Right.
A lot of the times when people become, a lot of people talk about evil. Let's talk about evil for a second. Um, the only thing that evil is that the people want to be loved. I know that's going to sound weird at first, but there's a lot of people that don't believe that they're loved or don't feel loved or have had a life that has been very difficult and they haven't had any experiences with love whatsoever. So, with lack of love, generally there is a need to control. When I can control others, I feel powerful. When I can control others, I feel my self worth. I feel powerful. So, they generally do really mean things to keep themselves from hurting because of the lack of love. So if I feel powerful enough, then I feel like I've accomplished something. It's to feel important and loved. It's the lack of love that causes them to go to great lengths because generally a very powerful person who you would define as evil has to do a lot of work to do evil acts. When true power, true love, requires the lightest touch. You don't have to do anything, you just be, and you elude that love energy. But they have to do a lot of work to create the energy of evilness. And it's only because they don't have the tools to get to love. It's they lack the tools of what love is. But everybody is seeking out love. They may play it out in different roles based on what they believe about it and how easy it is to attain it, and the fact that they don't feel love in their life and they do certain things as a reaction to it. But the journey is always, your soul is always seeking its natural vibration, which is that of unconditional love. Those people that you view of evil are unconditional love eternally. They're having the experience of limitation and lack of love. But you can only do that in this physical experience.
And they are seeking, in a sense, unconditional love, but they're
Yes,
experiencing whatever they've come here to experience.
yes.
And
Sometimes putting themselves in a deep state of limitation is something that the soul is wanting to learn more about itself. And
yeah,
a lot of the times, sometimes they even agree to have really intense experiences to teach very lovingly others on who they are more. So the most negative person you can think of teaches you a lot about who you are. This is what I'm not. I don't enjoy that at all. I don't, I could not be that way. Well, it's good that you realize that, and that's what that is there to show you who you are more.
right. Sorry. 1 second. Let's go back because that brought up some stuff. Okay. That one who is being um, what we called evil in a sense, um, is teaching the other something about themselves.
Yes. That's why every experience, if you judge things as good or bad, when you go about the business of judging, then you can look at things as this is horrible, but it had nothing to do with me. Well, the fact that you're seeing it is teaching you something about yourself always. So you can look at everything as a great experience if you can get there. If you realize that things are coming as a reflection, you don't have to judge this as a horrible thing that happened. You can say this is an experience I'm going through, but I'm learning a lot from it.
Yeah, it's like okay. So it's like when I was in a relationship, um, and the person was behaving, yeah, in a particular way, and even though I believed that it was changing, or things were going to get better. It's not something you've experienced, right?
I'm
So,
having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
no, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'll go back. What I was wanting to say was, in a relationship,
Oh, we're having a little bit of audio issues.
oh well,
I'm sorry, Glenda. I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm thinking whether to share that.
Hmm.
Yeah, you get me.
It's just a little bit in audio, audible. Excuse me. Just go ahead and keep talking, and we'll see if I can hear what you're saying.
Okay. What I was wanting to say was, in a relationship situation, for example, you have a couple, and I was just going to use my experience. You have a couple, and your partner is behaving in a particular way. Now, it could be anything from you want you want to go out with your friends, or um, there's some kind of issues within your relationship. What you're saying is, and what I learned as well, what I learned and understood, that those situations, those experiences was highlighted for me to have a look at something about me.
Yes, and first of all, you couldn't have got into that relationship if you hadn't attracted it in the first place. Maybe you didn't love yourself enough, and then the universe is going to say, "I'm only going to um, give you, equal to your vibration." The universe isn't judging that. The universe is just sending you exactly the person that you believe is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So if this person is treating you poorly, for example, and not truly loving you, well, first of all, it was you, how you feel about yourself, that attracted that in the first place, and what you thought was possible for yourself. So you attracted the person. Now you're in this relationship, and you're starting to look at it and say, wait a minute, I don't enjoy this. And then you start learning about yourself. I really want a person who is more caring to me, more loving to me. I want to feel good, and this person makes me feel bad. Maybe this is the wrong person, or maybe I can open up the communication and we can talk about this, and so we feel good about it. And if the person's not willing to change, because you can't change anybody, you can only change yourself. If you're counting on the fact that I can fix him, well, then you're in the that's never going to work.
And that's what and what happened was, I realized what was more important to me, what was my state of being, which is to feel good about who I am and be the best that I can. So I made a decision about that, yeah, and
Hmm.
and to continually love myself unconditionally. And it is a process, It's like what you and I say, and it is work is the work on yourself. Is
Yes.
to wake up every morning, feel good, to go to bed feeling good. Things will come up. I look at it like a television screen, because you're you're looking at things that either make you feel one way or the other. Do I want that or do I not want that? And I can have a choice. And I
You
think,
always have a choice.
yep, but I think a lot of people don't realize that. I didn't realize that. I didn't know.
Hmm.
I was
Because
like,
we're never trained to think that reality works this way,
yeah, and
but
that,
it does.
yeah, and in a gentle way. And I think that's another thing. I think that's another thing, because you were saying, and I say it as well, that start with the little things. Yeah, you know, um, start with those little things, because the big things that you want to change is something within you. It's a big thing that's in you. It could be, and I mean, it could be anything. Um,
Yes, well, it's the amount of emotion that you have for it is the intensity of the needing to control it. So generally, if you're already have your habitual thinkings on this one major thing, you're already um, have this chronic thought pattern around it because they're so emotional to you, and they're harder to let go of. But the little things, when you get the validations that the little things do change when you let go of it, and when you see that it does work on those things, then you'll be more willing to really start taking a look at the larger things. It's just an easier, more kind way of moving from just reacting and just being in this world and living, than actually being more in control of your state of being and your joy and excitement for it. So that's the choice, is do you want to feel good? In every moment you have that choice. I want to feel good. And if you can just in every moment kind of, my job is to just feel good, find what feels good. Um, I'm going to get on that train for a while and see where it takes me. I'm not going to force it. Forcing it's not going to help. When you try to control all of the details, you're just adding energy to something being wrong. The idea is to let that not be something wrong and just say, this is where I am. I'm good where I am. And I'm just going to start as much as I can. Every day is going to get better and better. Every day, I'm just going to choose as much as I can to be happy in the moments that I'm capable of. And just, it's that simple. Just start making the choice to start looking at what doesn't make you feel good and start choosing what does make you feel good. And when you start lining up with yourself, all kinds of information is going to start coming in, and inspirations, because as you line up with yourself, your guidance is coming in. You're reconnecting to being able to hear the vibration of the self who's always offering that to you, and you'll start receiving the information. Inspirations happen. um, it's such an exciting journey. It is so awesome to see those changes. And literally, it is to do nothing as much as you can. Don't handle the details. Don't get caught up into trying to fix things or think that something's wrong. This is something about me I have to change. Be okay with where you are, and that's where the change happens. The moment you let it be all right, that's where the energy moves. I'm going to let things work out because I know they always will. And that knowingness about it, that confidence in it, that knowing that it does work that way, and that's what you're talking about, is building trust in the little things so you can let the bigger things work themselves out as well. And because the resistance will soften once you start trusting that it does work that way, then it won't be so overwhelming that you give up or feel like you failed. Because we don't want you to set yourself up to find difficulty with this process. It's supposed to be a very loving and enjoyable process, and one where your life just becomes better every day, and letting that be enough, not trying to change everything all at one time, but be good with where you are right now. Love yourself enough. Please love yourself. And every day I'm going to allow myself to be more and more of myself. I'm going to take off these masks that I put on. I don't have to be one way to my family, one way to my coworkers, one way to society, one way. All of those are little personality masks that you put on for approval from those people. When you can be willing to take off the masks and just be you, well, that's where the magic starts beginning.
I agree. And I've seen it in my own experience, and like yourself. Um, it is amazing, you know.
It's
And
very much like a play here. I mean, you put on a little personality, you come down here in physical reality, and you start acting out this personality, not knowing that you can change the personality, not knowing that you're the crafter of it, the creator of it, the experiencer of it. You get to create. When you're eternal, you're just a vibration. They always say all the time, I'm like, when I talk to the guides there, I'm like, well, you're sitting, in a point where you know what's going to happen. You've got the advantage. And when they say to me is, but you get to create it, you get to experience it in physicalness. They can only co-create that with us. We get to have the experiences that we want. And so why wouldn't you want to create the experiences? That's what you came here for, is to create what excited you the most. It didn't, this wasn't a choice to come in and be miserable. It was one to come in to experience what you want to create, what it is that it is about you that lights up, that fires you up, that gets you passionate, gets you inspired, and start doing those things. And stop standing in your way of having it. Stop insisting that I can't have that. You can. If you are passionate about it, it is already, you didn't come here unprepared. You came here with the ability to have everything that you want, and that will be provided to you. But
Whatever.
we just learn that out of our system. So the children know that, and then we teach it right out of them.
Well, I realize.
No, 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 it doesn't work that way. Life is hard.
Yeah,
You
and
have to earn it. You have to have discipline. You have to work really hard to get this. You have to stay on top of it. You don't want to lose this energy. If you don't act now, you're going to miss out on the opportunity. No opportunities. Well, you will never be able to miss out on anything. They assure us of that.
I think that's where people get caught up on this type of world and that of another, and that's where this separation comes in. You know that God, whatever you want to call that source of energy, is separate from us, and we have that so much ingrained in us. Um, and I see a lot of fear in people by just what I do, because I talk of a holistic approach to life, which is personal and spiritual. So I see a lot of fear in that because they don't want it to be out there in the open to a certain extent. And that was one of my greatest fears. Yeah. I'm honest in saying that because of what I was taught. Yeah. So
Yes.
my beliefs was um, restricting me from living my potential. And in
Yes.
a sense, it's taken 50 plus years to get to where I am today to understand I am who I am and I'm great with that, you know? And what's the next 50 going to bring, you know?
Exactly. And it's okay that it's taken you this long. I mean, your soul had wanted to experience,
Oh, I'm
you put
happy for
yourself around the people that are going to give you the restrictions. You can feel the contrast. And then when you let go, this transformational lifetime is amazing. Like right now, I can change everything. And when I first started learning about this, everybody pretty much, when you get tired enough of being in a particular place, that's when change happens. So sometimes it takes that much of misery, in a sense, to say, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm tired of this game of being miserable. I'm going to get about the business of being happy. That's when change generally occurs,
and
is
that's the
when
choice.
you let it happen, when you get tired enough of fighting the system, in a sense,
And
or
that's the
feeling
choice.
overwhelmed.
That's the choice as well. You can either keep going with what you've got, yeah. And if you're not happy, this is how I used to look at it. I'm not happy, and I didn't know what happiness was. I thought I knew what happiness was, yeah, because it was what was being given to me. It wasn't what I was giving to myself. There was a difference, you know, and that
Hmm.
choice to be happy, you, the only person who can make it is yourself.
Yes, nobody could do it for you as much as you want to. How many friends have you talked to and, tried to make them happy? You're never successful. I mean, because they're allowing themselves to feel better. You're there as support, but those unhappy friends, then it doesn't serve the friends very much when you join them in their misery. Because that's what you're offering back to them. When you can stay in your happy state, then the friend can more easily move out of that. But it's just going to be, a choice of, do I feel really good about being with this person while they go through their journey, and I'm going to allow them to feel better, or, if this person is really getting on your nerves because they're always miserable, it's time to step away from that person. We're taught that you're a friend and you're supposed to be there with them, and but if you're falling out of vibration to be with them, then you're not serving either one of yourselves. So wait till it feels better to engage that conversation with them, because they're always getting guidance too. They have access to it just like you do. And the state of being is very important. You can really get off your game when you allow yourself to go down to what somebody else is feeling. If you lower your vibration in the process, like it's a burden, you've already dropped out of your vibration. So you're not helping anything. It's just two people now who have low vibrations rather than one.
Mm.
And so if you can be excited about seeing the change in another person and not having it affect your vibration, then you'll be serving that person greatly. A lot of people worry about people's health, when they hear they have a medical condition. I'm so worried about this person, you know, they're in my thoughts and prayers, and there's nothing wrong with them being in your thoughts and prayers. That's good. However, you want to see it working out for that person. Send them the energy that it's working out. Don't dwell on what's wrong with them, because you're literally adding energy to something being wrong. So
Mm.
when you can let go of that and say, I see everybody as everything is working out for them, and really use your imagination, because your imagination is creating energy. When you see the best case scenario working out for them, those are the prayers that add the highest energy into it. Don't ask them for something that they don't have, because then you're putting in there that they're not well. You're adding energy to that. Just as you do it for yourself, the thoughts that you have upon the others around you are the same way.
So
And
see,
so,
as you see yourself better and better, happier and happier, joyful and joyful, see others too.
yes,
Instead of seeing the world as a place of,
something's wrong with it.
see it, imagine. I mean, someone sent me something the other day about imagination, and it is about you, what you imagine, you create, and we
Thoughts
forget
create
that.
energy. Yes.
We forget that so many times. You know,
Well, we're
we
not taught to look at that. We're taught to judge. We're taught to compare. We're taught to look at the outside world and see how you fit into it. But if you know that you're a co-creator of it, and if you know that what you think actually has an impact of it, then you'll be more like, seeing the world work out, seeing all, sometimes things have to fall away for new things to come in place. So if you see a system that you're not happy with, say that's okay, because I see it working out. I see a new system coming in that's going to be wonderful. I see, create the best of your ability as you can imagine it, blissful place that you can imagine. That creates the energy where that can exist. When you just constantly focus on what's wrong, you're adding energy to it. You're actually enlivening that something is wrong. So you're adding your energy to it. Literally, you're feeding it. So it really does work that way. So as you see things working out with the world, you see things working out in another person, in your environment, people working together, people loving one another, because that's what we want. And the bottom line is what people want. And this is getting back to what you said to begin with, or I shouldn't say to begin with, but just a moment ago when you were talking about that relationship and choosing to be happy. When you recognize that there is another approach to what I've been taught, but I'm going to give it a go to feel better. When you make that choice that I want to feel good, um, all kinds of things start happening at that point.
yes, and
But
that's
you can
great.
have that any time in your life. I mean, some children come in with that to teach others, already expanded. And the children coming in today are amazing. And people complain all the time about the children, but they are the ones who are going to be, coming up with the technologies to clean the water, to clean the air, pollution. they are going to make some magnificent changes. And and they're just not buying into the crap that we bought into. So they're just, the resistance that you feel from the children is, I'm not buying what you believe anymore because I know something else to be true. Even if they don't understand it, they just know that something is wrong with this system, and I'm not going to partake in that. And so then the parents start trying to control them and giving them drugs and medicine and saying something's wrong with my child, they're so rebellious, where the child just isn't going to buy what you did. And everybody, bottom line is, you want to feel good. You want to be able to be yourself. You want the freedom to do what you want to do. You want to be yourself. And then we go about the business of trying to, not believing that we're capable of being those people. So I'm going to pretend my way through it. And those are the masks that get created. But when you can take off the mask and just be that person, be okay with who you are, unconditionally love who you are right now, that's freedom. That will feel real because you'll know it intuitively, because you'll recognize the vibration. You're like, there I am. That's who I really am. Because a lot of people have never even done the journey to, who am I and what do I really like? They've never even allowed themselves to do that exploration. They think they know what they like, but those likes are based on what others want from them, or how can I make the most money? How can I be successful? It's the view of others. But really, what makes you tick? What gives you the most passion? That's what everybody wants. And so everybody is on that same, they already know that. Everybody that's listening knows that that's what they want. So they want to be themselves. They want to be happy. They want to be in a state of well-beingness. And they want to be able to do what they enjoy doing. But we come up with all kinds of reasons why we can't have it. I'll be happy when this thing changes. Then I can be happy. I'm not going to let myself be happy right now because I don't believe that's possible, because I don't have this and this and this. When you can let go of that and say, wherever I am right now, I'm good. That's the alignment with self. And that's when things start working out, because you're not putting the resistance that keeps you from it in the way. When you allow yourself to be who you are, that's when the magic happens. That's when life becomes the fairy tale and miracles happen left and right.
I'm having a moment. To just be here right now and just feel really at.
Well, let's send some energy, and let's do a couple of deep breaths and send that out to others who are listening. And just focus on the breath. Just take a very deep breath all the way to the top of your head, as deep as you can get it, and hold it, hold it, hold it, and breathe out as deep as you can, all the way down to your feet, letting it go to the center of the earth. Taking a deep breath in, going to the top of the head, and hold it, hold it, till you can really feel it, and then breathing it out all the way down your body and out the bottom of your feet. And just relax into this moment. Take another deep breath, really deep, and let it out. How do you feel now?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I feel really as not wanting to do anything as my mum starts in the kitchen.
That's good though, and don't even let that bother you. I
Oh no,
mean,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's why I'm just acknowledging instead of, and that's part of the work, acknowledging and honoring, because what is, you know, it is
Hmm.
what it is, and
Yeah, because you don't want to need to live into a bubble. I mean, you want to be able to do this the best. And that's why it's a practice and that's why it's a process, is because you will get to the point where you can do this in the biggest chaos that's going on in your life. You can say this is unwanted and this is chaotic and this is frustrating and this is all of the stuff. And that's fine. But you can find that eye of the storm, that peaceful place in the middle as all of this stuff is swirling on around you. I still choose to feel good even though I'm going through some very unpleasant things. I know it's unpleasant, but I know it'll pass. I know the sun is always shining. So it's just a little rainstorm right now. The sun is always shining. It's always being offered to me. I know it's there. This thing will move out of my spectrum as long as I don't try to hold on to it and handle it and control it and get into the details. I'm going to let the details work out as perfectly as they can. I'm just going to, as much as I can, just not focus on it and focus on what I do love to do, because that's the alignment to myself. The guidance will come in and the problems will be resolved, all without me touching a thing. It does work that way.
everything works out.
It's a very, very, very cool process. And it's definitely a journey worth taking because it's a lot of fun when things start working out and you start seeing things show up and you start seeing the changes happen, all without you doing anything. Is all you have to do is focus on what is that makes you happy. Do nothing as much as you can. Follow that excitement. When you feel inspired to go for a walk, let yourself go for a walk. When you feel like doing something, act on it. When you don't, give yourself a little bit of a break, because in a few minutes, sometimes you'll feel like going back to it and you'll feel a little bit happier for it. When you have to do the dishes or clean your house, instead of a chore, you can look at it as, you know, I feel really good about decluttering my house because when I'm not carrying all that debris around, I can think clearer. I feel better. Just little bits at a time to where you get inspired and things start magically working out. They really, really do. It's really awesome.
It is. It really is. And even my experience, like my experience right now, you know, it's like all those beliefs of you're supposed to be doing this and you're supposed to be doing that. However, what I see is, and I call it a new paradigm, a new way of doing business for me is allowing things to show up as they're meant to for me, and everything will be just fine. Someone said to me the other day, Kelly, oh, but you'll come and see me because the way that you're doing it is not going to work out. And I'm thinking, like, hang on, because it's doing it right now, and but they can't see, they couldn't see it from that perspective because they're still in that.
But they just have their beliefs about it, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that is okay. But it's the same thing that we've been talking about. Yeah, and I not wanting to prove, that was another thing that I had to soothe. I don't want to prove it to you. I just want to be happy and be.
Yeah, that's not your job is to change them. Your job is to know who you are. And so when we can just keep our mind on our own stuff, you know, um, then we can let go of what others are doing. Then it can work out a lot easier. And at the beginning, you know, those beliefs that I'm supposed to do it this way, it can't possibly be that easy. Well, that's just a belief.
Do
And
you know?
that's just the lack of experience that it does work that way. But when you give it a go and give it a try, then you'll see that it does work that way. And then you'll build bridges to those new beliefs. The old ones will become nonsensical, and then you'll start living in that moment. And you've noticed that as soon as you let go of it, all kinds of things started happening.
Yeah, unconditional love, law of attraction.
Honoring who you are and doing what you're inspired to do.
Yeah,
Because this is really cool. Because when you're performing Now, first of all, the clue to who you are is always what you're passionate about. That is a representation of who you are more on the eternal level. This is what excites you, about energy or energy work or motivating people or inspiring them or painting, being a great artist or singing or being a business person and working on projects with other companies, or I want to create the next idea. I want to invent something because I'm inspired to do that. All of those great inspirations that we have are a reflection of who you are eternally. So those are signatures to who you are. That excitement that you have, that passion that you have for it, is a way that you know that it is you, because that excitement that you feel about it is the highest vibration that you have. And so that's how you know it's your signature, your energy, your vibration. It's a vibrational match to you, because not everything out there is what, another person may not want to do what you want to do.
So
And that's
someone,
okay.
so
That's okay. But when you get to do that and you're letting the energy of you, when you're acting upon that inspiration, you're actually imprinting it with your energy. And so there's a magnetism that gets attracted to that energy. So others are attracted to it. Those are those great pieces of art that came from great inspiration of their true self. They let themselves have the do the art, and others love it. Why do they love that picture that they're looking at? It's just a squiggly line on a canvas, but they love it. There's something about it that's just beautiful. It's because you're actually feeling the energy of what created it. It actually imprints on whatever you're creating. That's amazing. And that's the difference between the great artists and just artists who are doing it to make money or don't believe in themselves. That level of imprint, that level of love and passion for it gets imprinted in the energy of what's created.
so when people say they don't know who they are or what they want to do, is it
Well,
just
they're never letting themselves achieve that energy level, right? That greatness.
so it is about knowing what it is you love doing?
Yeah.
Be-
And the more you unconditionally love yourself, those things pop up. The more you let yourself do what you're passionate about, you'll get to know who you are very quickly, because it'll occur to you.
It will. It will what? Sorry.
It'll occur to you.
Okay,
The idea will come into your mind. And where is that coming from? That's coming from your higher self.
that's another
You'll be
conversation.
inspired to act, and then even that idea that you love so much will change and morph into something else, because change is a constant. So you'll come up with this one thing you want to do, and then you'll get the idea to add something else, and then you'll get inspired to add something else, and so this evolves and it changes, and there's this back and forth communication from your higher self to you. you know it sends you this idea, and then you enflavor it with what you want to do. That gets sent back to the higher self, and who then sends you that signal to add this. It's a very cool um, communication that's going on all the time, back and forth with you and your higher self, always. So if you're following that passion, that inspiration, then you'll get so excited you can't help yourself but act. And that's what the difference is when you're going through a job that you hate and it feels like so much effort and work just to get up in the morning, drink a million cups of coffee just so you can get through the day, and being able to live exactly what you want to do. And it's so effortless and easy
You know,
because you're in that flow.
I say that to people. If you could just wake up in the morning and say today is going to be a better day, yeah. Watch for the signals. Watch for the signs that you're having a better day. In your job or at school, or you're going on holiday. Because when even but right now, let's let that plane go over.
I'm sorry.
No, it's plane has to go somewhere. Someone's going somewhere.
Yeah, they're going on some adventures.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It has to pass, doesn't it? It's exactly what we were saying before. Exactly. It came and it had to pass.
Yeah, if you're going out the business of, and a lot of people do, of being offended, because there's plenty of things to be offended by if you want to. You know, there's been plenty of people that aren't on your vibration that you're going to be able to judge if you choose to make yourself feel better. There's plenty of things to be miserable about if you want to focus on that. But the energy then gets created to you get more of that. If that's what you want to focus on, you're just going to get more and more and more of that.
And
And
this is
that's what keeps people from experiencing something better. And they're
and
like, why does this keep happening to me?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, during our conversation even today, things come up and maybe this might help someone else. Yeah. As things come up, so for example, my mum walks into the room. I begin to feel or think. No, I didn't feel. I thought, but I also felt it as well. Why can't she wait? Let me just use that. I'm using that example. So it's not what she did. It's what is coming up in me that I want to address now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when you could have looked at it as a good, she's adding her energy and people will
Yeah.
be affected by her energy.
Yeah. So it's for me then to say, well, my mom needs to eat. She wants to eat
Yes.
something. That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But because of old habits and old beliefs, yeah, I was feeling and thinking other thoughts that didn't make me feel good. But because I've been doing the work, I am aware when that comes up, there's a realization, oh, and now it's for me to look at it differently. So when things come up like that, I'm able to look at things differently. I'm not going to react. I'm going to have the ability to respond in a different way.
Yeah. It's very cool because you get to see, oh, that's just, the way I used to look at things and that it would bother. And, I don't need that. I don't need that anymore. That's not serving me to keep that in my schedule. I'm going to see it as, energy is great. She's going to add that to this conversation and offer that to others. Or, she wants to feel good and she's honoring just that. She's trying to feel good. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing going wrong right now as long as I stay in my vibration. I'm not going to add something wrong to this.
That's great. I was going to say as well, if anybody wants to contact Kelly or myself, um, we are on Facebook. I'm Glenda Andrew. Kelly Marie um, is on Facebook as well. Um, you can ask us questions. You can send us emails. Um,
And what is your website?
my website is Lady G is www.ladyglive.com. There is a joining a mailing list there, and my email address is there. The Women's Network, While Women Have Changed, the website, there's a new website coming up, which is Women Have Changed, While Women Have Changed.co.uk. But there's a While Women page on ladyglive.com. Or you
So you
can,
can always reach us there.
yeah, or
And
you can Google us on Google Plus. You'll find us there as well. We've got a viewer, we've got someone viewing us, so I'd like to say hi. And there was someone earlier, so that is really great that you're here listening to Kelly and I. And if you do want to send us a question or a comment, I just want to acknowledge that I've seen you, and that you can contact us if there's anything that you want to ask. Kelly and I, basically, all we're doing is have our normal conversations, but we're sharing them with you. Kelly, do you want to say anything?
yeah, and I love these conversations that we have because there's always so much movement. Anytime you even we talk about this, it's just so exciting to be able to share it with others because there's always so much movement that comes from the conversations. So many different examples can come in and clarity always takes place, you know, no matter how much you know this material, no matter how much life experience shows you that it works like that, being able to share it and um, just even, you know, stay in this energy of it is just, it's always just really fun and exciting for me personally. And so it's really um, just such a blessing to be able to share this with others, because there's so much that comes from our conversations. Clarity a lot of the times, or new ideas, new inspirations, or let's do this next. And it's just a wonderful experience. So as Glenn and I were having conversations, I'm like, we need to post these, because sometimes we cover topics and get into situations that the guides come through, and so much guidance comes in that we just want to be able to share it with others. And we hope very much that um, that you're finding the clarity with it as well. And as you have questions about maybe what we're talking about, because a lot of the times we forget that, you know, this is conversations that we're having, and, you know, maybe we're saying something that we talked about and know very well, and maybe we're not communicating it for those who don't understand the topic as much. So that would be a great time that we could bring clarity to it. So it's just from our conversations that we've had for a long time, but there's always so much information that comes in. Always when the questions are asked, the guys will always come in and answer them perfectly. So really good stuff.
And that's probably a good topic to talk about next time, Kelly, because our higher self, I think a lot of people would like to hear your perspective of that higher self. I know, you know,
Are you talking about the guides and what comes
about
through?
the guides, and it's like we all have our guides. Not
You
all,
are never, ever, ever alone. And if you
yes,
you can have the experience of being alone here in physical reality,
yes.
however, you are so never alone.
Should we do it now then? Do you
We
know?
can, yes. I actually feel like we should, yeah.
Because if I say, and we're always talking about our beliefs, and our beliefs always come up, um, and by emotion, it will show you where you're at with it. Yeah, I had a belief, and but I found that it was contradictory. So one thing I was being taught was, no, that doesn't exist. Um, and then I had an inert knowing that there is something more than just this. I am more than just this body, this mind. And there was something else within me that I was told is your spirit within you. But then
Mhm.
there was some conflicting other things I was given. So what I want you to share with, and I know now by my experience, and that's how you always know, within yourself there is something more. So I'd like you to, we can ask the guides as well, how they would say, what is it that is within us and out there, because we're all connected. Every single thing is connected.
There's many ways to look at the guidance that comes in, and the idea is to discern the differences and to learn to interpret what's coming in. And the reason why I say it like that is because we also have an ego inside of us that's designed to, first of all, have this physical reality experience. And it reinforces it so well that it's so believable. And it reinforces your beliefs so strongly that you believe they're so real and tangible that they almost cannot be changed. But that's the job of the ego. Now, a lot of the times the people want to control the ego. The ego is getting in the way, and you know that's what's keeping me into fear. And you know they try to push away the ego. Well, the ego is serving a great purpose. It's letting you have this experience. The way you can tell the difference between your inner guidance that we all have, and that the closer you are and aligned, the clearer it is to receive the information, because the guidance can only come through your filters, your beliefs. And that's how you're interpreting the information. So that's the difference between, some would say, a good psychic and a bad psychic. This isn't psychic work. This is allowing the information to flow. Um, there's a little bit of a difference there. Some are just interpreting and learn how to, a psychic is more interpreting energy than when you're allowing yourself to be your intuitive self, that we all have the ability to do. You are listening to the guidance coming from your higher self. And others may be joining other guides, but they're always coming from your higher self down. And the more aligned you are, the more in a state of unconditional love and let go of the filters that keep you from hearing it clearly, the more clear the guidance comes in. And because you don't have the stuff in the way, and you're actually hearing the clear thoughts of the higher self rather than your filtered perspective of what that is. So the filters that we have make it trickier to trust in the fact that I'm always being guided. That's the one that people are like, oh, I can't do that because, you know, my guidance lets me down from time to time, as or you think it's letting you down. But the idea is, the ego, a lot of the times when you hear that ego speaking, it's generally from a state of fear. If you're hearing the ego response and you hear that fear attached to don't do this, you're going to get hurt. If it's kind of makes you a little bit scared, that's generally like an ego talking. And then you can reassure the ego, no, we're going to be fine because I'm guided to do this and I'm inspired to do this and I feel just fine about this. Then you can talk down the ego. But the higher self is always that really good feeling that you have about it, that that inspiration or that inner voice that's saying, go to the store right now. And if you feel good about it, that there's that feeling that accompanies it, like there's a little bit of excitement that comes. That's your higher self speaking to you. That's the one that's always talking to you. Any ideas that you have ever had in your head have not come from the physical brain. It's come from your higher self. Inspiration comes and thoughts come from your higher self. It's that back and forth communication that I referred to a moment ago. It sends thoughts down to you. You get to interpret it and put your own personality into it. You send it back. There's always this back and forth communication that's going on in your mind. And that is the communication of the self, because you are not separate from it. It is part of you. It is what is sending you the information. It's just as important as your brain. It's just as tangible as your body. Just because you can't see it, those would not believe it. What I can't see, I don't believe in. But when you get used to allowing that communication to come forward, and allow yourself to speak from that point. Some would call it channeling the information. And a lot of, you even hear like a lot of celebrities or artists, great pieces of work have been done, and they said, I just channeled, this song and it came to me. Well, that's channeling the energy of, that is channeling, that is allowing that inspiration to flow down and you're acting upon it. You're allowing yourself to get into the flow of that. And that's why it's always great. It's effortless. It comes, you don't have to do any work out of it. All of a sudden the song appears. All of a sudden the art piece, I know what to do. I know what to create. That great piece of inspiration. That is the communication of your higher self and guides. But like I said, the guides have to come through the higher self. What I do is, what I've allowed to happen is, which some would call channeling, is allow the guidance to come in to answer the questions of others and of myself. But so I allow the guides to speak when we're having these conversations. I just let the guidance talk because they know more than I do. So I let that communication come in. Some get into a very transcendent state to receive information and kind of let the guides speak for them. And mine's a little different because I'm part of the conversation. But a lot of the times I'm just letting them go and, letting them answer. And because they always just have a beautiful way of expressing the information. And it comes out so effortless when I allow that to happen. And everybody can do that. And it's just going to be what's personal to you. What experience do you want to have? What do you see yourself as doing is the difference. Those who want to achieve that, it just takes trust and knowingness and validations that this is information coming. And Glenda, I guess you could speak on that. When the guides answer you, have they ever been wrong?
No, and it's back to that same thing again. It's about allowing yourself to be who you are, aligned with your higher inner self.
Yeah, it's something that I'm passionate about because I love being able to answer the questions and being inspired and stuff. So that's what I love about them so much, is because, and there's so many times where I don't even know why they'll say certain things that they say. And then later on, I'm like, oh, that's why they said that, because they were having a question in their mind that I didn't know. And so the information just comes forward.
And
So,
and what I was going to say was, because I'm not as practiced, and I'm honoring that I'm not as practiced as being in alignment. I do find that in situations or with people that it's I don't know what I will call it, but something will come up where I'm not allowing myself to be who I truly am. And I'm aware of that now. And I think that is coming up now, that awareness. It's like when I was saying to you, um, when I've been in contact with, do you remember, Kelly? And I said to you, um, it did, and that friction came up because I'm not allowing, because that is where the inspiration comes from, isn't it? That information that's coming from,
yeah, those are the filters. You could say it's the filters from
yeah,
getting a clear message.
and that's it. Because a lot of us get caught up in this. It's me, 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 and it's not just me, me, me. It is all the the rest, and there's a lot.
It's you and them. It's
And
never just you. Yes.
that's
And it
correct.
never has been.
And many times, just things like you'll hear a song, and you'll say, "Whoa, that song! It reminds you of someone." That is your inner higher self. It is, it could be someone who's gone, who's not, well, not gone, but someone who's transitioned past, and that is all part of it. It is immensely. You can't even. I think for me at the moment, the words don't do it justice. The labels that we give. People get caught up on the word of channel, of spirit, of healing, and that is all about their belief system about those stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we just can concentrate sometimes on just the energy and the vibration of it, that's what I do with
Yeah.
the past. When I speak to people and who want to do the coaching or the past, it is about retuning. So without even looking at the words, yes, retuning what? Your beliefs. But it is about the energy of it, not the actual details. And that's what I'm learning about for myself, that it does come from within, that it comes not just from within, but out there too.
Yeah. And you don't have to put a title on it. You can just know it. Um, but it is what you want to experience.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
It's very cool. So whatever you want to experience, you can do. So there's a little bit of echo. I don't know if you're hearing it.
No, I can't hear it. I'm good actually. Right now. Um,
Yeah. Did you want to close up for now and we can
yes,
continue to listen?
yeah,
Okay.
and then we can catch up in a
Okay.
moment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back. I'm sure, because we're excited about doing these.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see you another day tomorrow, probably. Um, and as we said before, if you want to contact us and if you want to ask us anything, you're welcome to
Yeah. We'll be excited to talk about it.
just send a note on the chat here or on our emails. As I said before, my website is ladyglife.com.
And thanks everybody for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.